We're going to build an adirondack chair here. First off, take a look at your plans. Mark your boards, cut your lengths of this is a 5/4 by 4 for the back brace supports. You want to make sure to trim your ends before you make those cuts so you get nice true corners. You want to go mark your angles on your base supports. All these are clearly described in the plans. Make sure you mark on the ends of the board and not the top where it's rolled over, so that you end up with good true dimensions to the outside of the board. When you're cutting any of these angles, try to start your cut from the most perpendicular line you can, especially with the skill saw. Circular saws that lets the guide open up much easier. Here we're marking angles for the four legs, the front legs, forward legs. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to try a jigsaw here. Any saw can be used for any of these cuts. We've shown you a couple different examples here of different ways of doing it. From the circular saw, we've used a chop saw, the jigsaw, and here Dave is with the hand saw for people who want to go old school on this project. Here we're measuring the angle for the back supports. We've done this without any need to measure degrees. We've just made a couple measurements. This chair does end up being a little long for the ladies under the seat. Those measurements could probably be shortened 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Won't affect anything else on the chair. It'll just make that a little shorter run, so you can drop your knees down over the edge if you're under, I'd say about 5'3". Here we're drilling, putting the screws in before we drill for the bolt holes, just to hold it, make sure all our screws line up. And then we're going to drill pilot holes here for all the seat back and seat bottom slats. Just using the board we'll be drilling through to get an eyeball on direction, using a finger to kind of measure so that the holes look somewhat uniform when they're done. The closer you get to the edge of those back supports, the more problems you'll have with splitting out. The pre-drilling really helps on the splitting. Now we're attaching the forward legs, very similar to how we did before. We're going to set some screws in there. Then we're going to drill all the way through for the bolts. Make sure they end up lined up perfectly. And now we're sanding. A fun project. You can use your hand sander, you can use palm sanders, belt sanders, whatever you have. Take it down to whatever finish you'd like to do. Here we are taking the back support, adding the bottom braces. Really helped out in the building of this to put the slats on the back support first. Just made everything much easier to come together. Bolt it all together and add the slats for the seat and the front. Make sure that that first board there is lapped over to match up nicely with the front support. Screw shooter definitely helps out here. Cordless drill with the screw bit makes this job much easier. And voila, one Adirondack chair.